Hello, everybody. Welcome back to a Weather Wednesday, Thursday edition. We apologize for the sound problems during yesterday's show. We promise that we won't let any one of our staff use our good microphones. So now that I have a good one, I want to redo and share with you some of those amazing images that we were talking about yesterday. Plus, you get a bonus today. There are a couple of additional pictures that I've added that I want to talk about. It's some really interesting stuff here on today's Weather Wednesday, Thursday edition. So let's start off with talking about the hurricane that hit the southeast, that hit Louisiana and Georgia and western Florida. So that is right behind me here, Hurricane Sally. It hit the coast as a Category 2 hurricane, producing winds, sustained winds of close to 100 miles an hour. With gusts up to 130 miles an hour. It created a pretty strong storm surge. That is the ocean water that was pushed onto land there, creating some flooding conditions along the seashore, along the shoreline. It is also now, it has progressed on land and is dropping quite a bit of rain throughout the southeast part. That is Georgia, South Carolina, and even on up to Virginia a little bit. So definitely there's ongoing quite a bit of rainfall going on the East Coast there. We also have another interesting topic. So here's an image that I have of that I came across of Hurricane Sally in its infancy. So when it was a younger hurricane, oops, not that one, sorry, work with me here. These pictures right here. So this is a picture of Hurricane Sally right when it was forming. And let me zoom in here. So here is that Hurricane Sally right here. What's interesting is just to the north of this, you can see just up here, this is the western part of Florida right here. Here is the border of Florida. Right here, this is Alabama right there. So this is right before it hit on land. What scientists noticed is that it was just one big thunderstorm. We don't have those several thunderstorms creating a nice eye wall. What we have instead is just one big thunderstorm. And what they noticed is these ripples. If you look real close, there's these ripples right here. These ripples in that storm, it is so big that scientists say it is being affected by Earth's gravity. So those are gravitational ripples in that thunderstorm right here, almost like ripples in a pond if you drop a rock in there. So really cool picture from Hurricane Sally right before it hit land there. So now, as I said, now it is has moved on to the southeast part, dropping moisture there. Another interesting thing, which we're going to get to in just a minute, is Hurricane Paulette, which is off the eastern coast, out in the middle of the Atlantic right here. Here is Newfoundland up there. This is Maine and Massachusetts. So the northeast part is right here. But you can see in this picture that Hurricane Paulette is ingesting large amounts of that smoke. Guys, this is the amazing part of the world around us, how nature is just helping to create, it's helping to alleviate what humans have done to the world. And so it's ingesting all that smoke and helping to condense it, turn it into clouds and precipitation and drop it into the ocean where the ocean and life can help to take that smoke back up. It's part of that carbon cycle process called a carbon sink. The ocean is a great carbon sink there. And so we can see that smoke. Look at all that smoke being ingested into that hurricane there. Pretty awesome stuff. And then lastly, when we go back to our satellite image here, the last hurricane that I want to point out is actually in the Mediterranean Ocean. That is right here. Here's the Mediterranean Ocean there. And if we go to today's time, you can see right here this low pressure system spinning left. They nicknamed that a Medicane because it's in the Mediterranean Ocean, and has hurricane-like properties. It is a metacane. It has sustained winds of 50 miles an hour with possible wind gusts of 80 to 100 miles an hour. The Mediterranean, the cities and towns along the Mediterranean coast, they aren't used to the really strong hurricanes. So we have, this metacane might cause quite a bit of damage to the cities and towns in Greece where it's headed. I think I mentioned that its nickname from the Greek Meteorological Association there, its nickname is Ioannos. So metacane Ioannos, which means in Greek, John. So Hurricane John there in the Mediterranean Sea. All right, so now I talked about all the smoke and wildfires going on in the West. This has been the worst wildfire season in recorded history for the West Coast. Behind me, you see images of the West Coast here with a video that is also playing there on the side. Several of these images were sent to me by family members in the West, on the west side of the United States. Right now, Oregon has 15 large fires, or 15 or 14, and then Washington also has another 14 or 15 large fires going on there. Already in Oregon, it has burned twice the amount of wildfire, or twice the amount of area during wildfire season as they've ever had in recorded history. They also have had, unfortunately, they've had more deaths because of these wildfires than they have had in a long, long time. And then also we have California. We have over 24 large fires in California going on. The largest fire has already consumed more land than any other fire in California's history. California has had so many fires this season that it has burned literally 3% of California's entire land mass. So California has had a lot of its land, a lot of its trees go up in smoke. So not a very good situation going on. I read somewhere that there are over, I think it was 7,000 people, just firefighters alone, battling all these blazes going on in the West. And of course, that has produced a lot of smoke. So I'm going to go ahead and fast forward to our GOES 16 and 17 images behind me, where we can see the smoke really enveloping the West Coast there. So I will pause it here and then just go through that. Look at that on September 11th here, looking at all this smoke. It was moving to the west and getting sucked into this low pressure system that has since made its way on land. Today is Thursday. The West Coast should be getting this low pressure system right now and into tomorrow on Friday. But you can see all that brown smoke right there. That, as we progress through, is now making its way east. So that several large cities on the east side of the United States is now experiencing all that smoke. You can see all the way over here, clouding up Michigan, Chicago, and going to all the way over to New York and the East Coast, right there. And so I see we have a viewer asking, does smoke show blue on the SOS at night? So as you see that right here, the blue does show low-level clouds. Now, these clouds could be regular clouds or it could be smoke clouds. So yes, as I cycle through, mostly you see that it's actually the clouds. Watch this area right here. Mostly it's the clouds that show up blue. This big patch of smoke right here does not show up on the Earth at night one there. So you can see that the smoke in the middle of the United States kind of disappears. So that's because this weather satellite, these sensors, look at a particular color, if you will. It's called a frequency. They look at a particular frequency, and water reflects back at a certain frequency. Smoke, on the other hand, doesn't have a whole lot of water or moisture wrapped up in there. Smoke has a lot of carbon in it. So satellites use a different color band, a different frequency band to see all those smoke. Now that brings up a good point, because you guys can look at this at home. You can see this for yourself on a website called Real Earth. I believe it's called .ssec.wisconsin.edu. We are going to post that again. If you look at yesterday's feed, we posted the website. We're going to post that again here to share with you. You can look at these satellite images on your own computer. And one of those satellite images that you can choose is fire, smoke and fire. And you can see the overlays of where fires are and where smoke is. And all you have to do is, under products, there's a tab called products. Once you choose the products, you'll see a whole list of different satellite images that you can pull up. If you want to choose one, you take that and you just drag it over to the Earth, and you can see that satellite image. So a great resource that you guys can use at home there. All right, so moving on to, so this is the most recent image. You can see the dawn kind of coming up. That is going to have to resolve itself in a couple of hours. So we'll have to look at the day before, which was yesterday. So this is looking at all that smoke yesterday across the United States. And there is that Hurricane Sally as it was coming up the East Coast there. Now, just to finish things up, I want to talk real quick about wildfire weather. Why do these wildfires occur? What does wind have to do with it? Because it seems like when you get wind, you get wildfires really spreading and growing. So what is causing all of this wildfire season that we've had? So first off, let's see here. Here is a map. Here is a map of all the wildfires that I grabbed from the internet a couple days ago. You can see that whole West Coast there just really on fire. The reason that the West Coast has had a really bad fire season is because it can go all the way back to winter of last year. December, January, and February was particularly dry in Washington, Oregon, and California. They didn't get as much snowpack as they usually do. Didn't get as much rain as they usually do. That causes the vegetation to dry out and have a very dry summer. California did get some moisture in March and April, but not really enough to balance out that dry winter that they experienced. The key things that you need to keep in mind for wildfire formation is dry conditions for your fuel source, your plants, that they're really quite dry. The humidity, the amount of moisture in the air, if that is very low, then that is really good prime conditions for wildfire. And then lastly, if you have a lot of winds, that helps fire to spread. Now all you need is an ignition source. In California on August 16th and 17th, there was a rare thunderstorm that came through Northern California, came through the Bay Area, and that triggered a lot of lightning-induced fires. In fact, that is what caused the largest fire that is still going right now. Over a month later, that fire is still going and is less than 30% contained. So we have lightning-induced ones, but the leading cause of wildfires are humans, okay? Humans, because of not being careful or because of just carelessness or accident, a single spark, a single cigarette butt, a single little ignition source, when you have those dry conditions and the wind, can really ignite a wildfire. And those were the conditions that the West experienced on September 7th, 8th, and 9th, when a high-pressure system, the same time that Colorado was experiencing their deep freeze of snow, the West was experiencing a very strong high-pressure system, which kicked up winds and lowered the humidity and really was prime conditions for wildfire formation. So all of these things, oops, I don't want to leave here. I want to point out just a couple more pictures here. All of these things created just some horrific instances of wildfire conditions. Here we can see that fires actually produce their own weather. This is called a pyrocumulonimbus cloud. Pyrocumulonimbus. Pyro means fire. Cumulonimbus is what you would experience with a thunderstorm, lightning. So as that smoke rises and enters the stratosphere up there, you can get lightning strikes, which causes more fire. You could occasionally cause rain from that, but because the air is so dry, you won't get a significant amount of rain. What you will get, though, is more wind. As that rain cools and falls down, it causes the air to collapse and spread out, and that causes a downdraft that causes more wind. So wildfires create their own wind patterns, and scientists study this very closely so to keep their firefighters safe and to predict where the fire will spread next. So it's very important to study wind and the weather conditions that a fire creates. Another graphic here just showing how fire, if there is no wind, a fire will obviously just rise straight up. Eventually it runs out of fuel and dies out. But if you get wind involved, that will drive the fire forward and really cause it to spread faster. So that is another one very interesting graphic from weather.gov /wildfire. And I was showing you those images there and that pyrocumulonimbus clouds, okay? Finally, another interesting weather event that can happen is a firenado, or a tornado caused by those rapid swelling of hot air. If it gets pulled up and starts to spin, starts to spiral, you could get some fire tornadoes. And that's what California experienced a few weeks back, was literally a tornado caused by the fire. So that was a firenado. And we can see even in this image how the name El Diablo for these fire winds, these east winds that really spur up fires, has really earned its name. So you have the Santa Ana winds coming from the east and the El Diablo winds, which really fuel fires. So some really bad situations going on the west. Please keep those people in mind. Also see if you can, if there's any needs that they might have. It's going to take a while to recover from a wildfire. While all of the hurricanes are getting a lot of the press coverage, people are continually fighting for their homes in the West as fires rage through California, Oregon, and Washington. We'll keep you guys updated on those on that situation going on in the West in future Weather Wednesdays. We want to hear from you guys. We look forward to hearing from you. What do you want to see on Weather Wednesdays? If you come across an interesting image that you'd like to share with us, and if you want us to explain that, we would be happy to do that. So we look forward to hearing from you. Thank you guys for watching on our today's Weather Wednesday. Oops, got to do it again Thursday. Talk to you guys later. Thanks for watching.